broadcasting across the U.S. and around the world. Good morning, radio friends, and welcome to the Retro Oldies Brunch, the show that takes a nostalgic look at music history. I am your host, Vern Sherd. On this week's showcase, we'll visit the 60s as I take you on a nostalgic trip back in time to visit the year that was 1968. We'll revisit the year through music and various news and entertainment briefs. As always, we'll have our three-of-a-kind music trivia segment, a 1968 forgotten hit from our radio vault, and a long-distance dedication from one of our listeners. On this week's showcase, one of the songs behind the surge of bubblegum pop, and an instrumental becomes a hit due to a DJ's mistake. We'll begin the 1968 showcase with a soul music legend whose career yielded 43 top 40 hits, 17 of them in the top 10, and 2 chart toppers. In the 1978 Blues Brothers movie, her character Mrs. Murphy sang this 1968 hit to persuade her husband, Guitar Murphy, not to join the band. Here's the Queen of Soul, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Aretha Franklin with Think. Bubblegum pop was developed to cater to preteens and teenagers as a pivot from the protest music that was being put out as a response to the Vietnam War. Buddha Records made its mark as a bubblegum pop music label when a young Neil Bogart was brought on to oversee the label's operations, leading to a huge surge into the genre. In the 1970s, Bogart left Buddha to form Casablanca Records. His story was featured in the 2023 movie Spinning Gold. This band from the Buddha label peaked at number 4 in 1968 with this classic bubblegum hit. This is the Ohio Express and Yummy Yummy Yummy. Welcome back to the Retro Oldies Brunch. I'm Vern Sherd, and now it's time to take a look back at the year that was 1968. America was devastated by 2 assassinations: Civil Rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. and U.S. Senator and presidential hopeful Bobby Kennedy. North Vietnam and the Viet Cong troops launched the Tet Offensive. The Redwood National Park is created in California to protect the giant redwoods. And O.C. Smith has a million seller that peaked at number 2 and won songwriter Bobby Russell a Grammy for Song of the Year. This is Little Green Apples. And now we're up to the song that is the only instrumental in today's showcase, and it's credited to a singer who doesn't actually perform on the record. You see, it is the stripped-down B-side version of the singer's song, Love Is Alright, without the vocal track. A DJ played the B-side instrumental by mistake, but the listeners liked it better than the vocal version. The instrumental became so popular that it was renamed The Horse after the latest dance craze, released as an A-side single and peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Pop Charts, was performed by high school and college bands all over the country, and was widely used as bumper music by radio stations that carried into their newscasts. That's quite an impressive output from a DJ's simple mistake. Here is Cliff Nobles and Company with The Horse. And now it's time for our long-distance dedication. We received an email from Eddie from South Carolina. Hi Vern, my name is Eddie and I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm emailing my dedication for your show. My dedication story begins several decades ago in the late 1970s when I was home for the summer from college at the University of South Carolina where I was studying engineering. I was able to get a job as a beach lifeguard and stayed at my grandmother's bungalow. I was very handy, so I helped do some light maintenance on the bungalow. Since my last visit there, a new neighbor had moved into the rented bungalow next door. She saw me working on my grandmother's beach house and came over to introduce herself. Her name was Sarah, and she explained that she had taken a job in town to start over as she was a recent divorcee. Despite our 9-year age difference, she was 29 and I was 20, we got along very well because I was a bit of an old soul. As the summer went on, we slowly began to develop feelings for each other. She opened up to me about her ex-husband's issues that led to her divorcing him. I told her that she was an incredible woman and she deserved to be happy. One thing led to another, and with only a week left before I had to go back to college, we consummated our relationship. I didn't want our friendship to end, so I told Sarah that we should write each other while I was in school and I would come back and visit during winter break. Sarah said I wasn't being realistic, but I had explained that I had already been approved for a part-time job on campus in the engineering lab, and that experience would help me land a good job after graduation the following year. I told her that I had a great future and I would be worth the wait. Once Sarah realized I was serious, she reluctantly agreed to write. Over the next year, we kept in touch and I kept my promise and visited over the winter break. I told my family about Sarah and they thought there was too much of an age difference. However, they knew I had good judgment and decided to let me make my own decisions. I graduated the following year and got a job with a local engineering firm. That fall, I ended up moving in with Sarah and my parents were okay since it was with my grandmother was next door. The following year, Sarah and I got married and my grandmother gifted us her bungalow as a wedding gift. She proceeded to move into my parents' house. And that is the story of how I met Sarah, my wife of 45 years, mother of 3, and grandmother of 7. During the past year, it has been a tough go of it, as Sarah has developed Alzheimer's. Sarah has some good days and some bad ones. She does respond to memories in photo albums and, of course, music. In the 1970s, there was a song we remember hearing that really spoke to us and that our love transcended any age difference. Vern, could you please play Summer by Bobby Goldsboro? I'm hoping that by hearing our story and hearing the song, Sarah's memories can be triggered and she can have a good day. Thank you so much for reading my dedication, and God bless. Sincerely, Eddie. Wow, Eddie, I'm a sucker for a great love story. Thanks so much for sharing your incredible love story. I'm so happy that you and Sarah found each other and built a life together. Here is your special dedication. Welcome back to the Retro Oldies Brunch. I'm Vern Shirt, and now it's time to take another look back at the year that was 1968. Funny Girl and 2001: A Space Odyssey topped the movie box office. Laugh-In and Gomer Pyle were the top TV shows. Singer Frankie Lyman dies at age 25, and author and disability rights advocate Helen Keller dies at age 87. And number one this week in 1968 is a song by a soul legend whose inspiration for this song was spending time at a boathouse overlooking the San Francisco Bay. Unfortunately, he would never live to see the song release as he was killed in a plane crash shortly after recording the song. It would become the first song to top the Billboard Pop Charts as a posthumous release. Here is Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Otis Redding with Dock of the Bay. That was Jeannie C. Riley, and that concludes this week's Retro Oldies Brunch, the year that was 1968. If you haven't already done so, be sure to connect with DJ Greyhound Radio on LinkedIn so that you can get our monthly program schedule. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get clips from our showcases. We'll be back next month with another showcase of the year that was. Until next time, radio friends, this is Vern Sherd saying, don't be afraid to aim high with your goals. Even if you come up short, you'll still end up at a better place. You're listening to DJ Greyhound Radio. Playing the hits of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.